Welcome back to Virtual Reality Game Dev Ed. This is the third tutorial video for our friend codenamed S. Okay, this time we are actually going to get into how to actually set up Blender so you can work with it right. Okay, we want to come here under File to User Preferences. Okay, now earlier we went well, I had you glance at another video to see to turn on your 3-button mouse and whatnot and to emulate your number pad. But where we want to go right now is actually add-ons. Now, this you see about a million options. Okay. These we want to select almost everything that you can see that is selected in mine. If it's not selected, don't select it. If it is selected, do select it. Okay, I'll go through this very slowly so you can follow it. Okay? Make sure first one, second, third, fourth. Skip this one. You don't need this. Select this, 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 this. And keep going. Keep on going. If you see it gray, it's not selected if you can't see all my little check marks here. Okay? Select everything that you see is selected in my menu here. Okay? Now when we get down to imports, this is some interesting stuff. We want to select these. We want to make sure FBX. FBX is how we import and export an object into Unity. So you want to make sure that's selected. Go ahead and import and export images as planes. We won't use that for a while, but that's a nice unique function. You want to import, export, make human, MHX. However, this is actually not the version of Blender we will be using for make human. We have to get an older version of Blender to use make human, and I will go over all of that. I actually have about 5 different versions of Blender on my computer because of compatibility issues with other programs. But go ahead and select it anyway. Make sure all of these are selected. Object. Then come back down here to the mesh and object areas. And these are tools you need. Make sure all of these are selected. And make sure these are selected. Okay. I hope I went through that slow enough. Go ahead and just X out of that and then Control U to save your user settings. Okay? Now, what that did was brought up all of these tools over here that we are going to be able to use. Say if we select something, go to your edit mode, and now we see all of those, mainly the transform tools and such. UV mapping, shading, repeat, some very cool things. Loop tools, this was one you had to make sure to select. Loop tools is something we will be using, so make absolutely sure that loop tools is selected. Let's see, where was it? Down here, I think. Loop tools, yes, definitely make sure that that's selected. Just make sure all of these things are selected, okay? Alright, now that gives us some very interesting options, and I will show you what all of those are as we go. Okay, now it is finally time to actually start creating something. Whatever scene you're in, go ahead and select everything and press the delete button on your keyboard. Left click to delete it all. Okay. Now we want to add, come up here to add, mesh, plane. Move this over. While this is selected, click on the object. We want to go ahead and rename this first of all. You always want to rename your object so you know what's going on. We're going to name this floor. Okay, press enter to get out of there, or just click outside of it anywhere. And we want it to be right in our middle location, so click there, press 0, click there, press 0, click here, press 0, and click out of it. Now we're right in the middle of the scene. Okay. Now, another little quick note, say shift. Okay, so we want to find our object now. Just click on it here, and then click your home button on your keyboard, and it will bring it right into the center of the screen. Okay, so this is actually what we will be making our entire house out of. This little plane. One thing you notice with planes is they only have one side. You can see right through the other side, which is kind of convenient for later work. Okay, we are going to go ahead and turn this into a good floor. Okay, go into, while it's selected, go into edit mode, and then first thing we want to do is say, like, scale it to, we want to make it 5 times bigger than it is. That sounds good. It's 2 by 2 right now, so that'll make it 10 by 10. Just click S and then 5. Right click out of it. S, let's do it right on the axis. Y, 5. Right click. Let's put this in the bounding box center, that way we're not going in funny directions. S, 5. There we go. Now left click. There we go. Now we're looking good. Okay. So now we have a plane a little bit big enough to work with. Alright. First thing we want to do is go ahead and make some walls. So come down here and select the vertices selection. Move this out a little bit so we can see what we're doing a little better. Press A to unselect everything. Come close to one wall and go ahead and select that vertice. Okay, now, how do we do anything with that? Well, what we are going to do is actually extrude it. So to extrude, again, you want to learn all of the keyboard functions for everything. There is a button over here for extrude. However, that's not what we want to do. See, extrude region. What we want to do is press E. Okay. Now we want to go up. So we want to press Z. So we're going on the Z axis, right? And now we want to make this, say, about 5. And that looks good, right? Go ahead and left click. And now we have our first wall. How simple is that? Very, very simple work. Now let's go ahead and say we wanted to extrude all of our walls. Set Control Z. Go ahead and we have that face still, or that vertice still selected now, or that edge, excuse me. Hold down your Shift button and select these other edges. Okay. Now click E again, and now we're bringing it right up. Go 5. E. Make sure it's on the Z axis. And go up by 5. And then left click. Now we see we have actually taken up the face too. We don't want that face. So click on your faces. Right click on this face here, the top face. And go ahead and click the delete button, and it brings up some options, right? What do we want to delete? Well, we want to go ahead and delete that face, so delete faces. Okay, now we have a hollow box, right? Very simple stuff. That is the very beginning of designing your house. Let's make sure it's upright. Yeah, see, I'm a little lost here, so to get back to where I want to be, I'm just going to hit 1 on my number pad, and now I'm in front view, and then rotate it back down a little bit, and now I'm looking right. Move it back to the center of the screen, and there we go. Now we have the very beginning of our house. However, it's a little too simple. You know, we don't have any extra faces, we don't have anything cool going on. So one thing we want to do is add some extra faces, or some extra cuts in this, some extra edges, so we have something else to work with. Control R. With loop tools added in your add-ons, if you press Control R, what this is doing is literally cutting through the entire object. Now you can scroll up with your wheel to add extra ones. We want to add 4 for now. So go ahead and have 4 and left click it and then rotate it a little, unselect those, and come to the other side, Control R again, find it there in the center, scroll up your wheel to 4 again, and then left click. And now, A to deselect everything, you see now we have some edges to work with, so we can continue from there. And I'm out of time for this video, so that's where I will pick up. See you next time.